Nostalgia. Nostalgia is what drives me to make this video game channel. To talk about new experiences and some of my old exposure to games I played with my brother and dad. Now, Gun was one of those old masterpieces in my head. I thought it was the cream of the crop, like the Godfather video game or Reservoir Dogs, but I realized I may have had those rose-tinted glasses on too tight. So, before a riot occurs, let me tell you my journey with Gun.
But I'll never see that old cell again, 'cause I'm shot 4 times and dying. Laying in this railroad drain, how long can freedom last? See that train a-going overhead, like my life it's a-going fast. Chopping in that cotton.
So, Gun has a little in the development history. It's difficult to find any information. If that means anything, I found an E3 trailer, but all that trailer showed was the game's title and when it would be released. Though, as I kept digging and digging, I found more intriguing information. I didn't know Gun was a launch title for the Xbox 360, which was fun. It was an excellent game to get at launch. However, it was only a little special because it was also released on PC, PS2, Xbox, GameCube, Xbox 360, and PlayStation Portable. Neversoft was the leading developer of the port, but Beanox handled the PC version, while Rebellion, known for the Star Wars Battlefront 2 port, helped manage the PSP counterpart. Activision published all of these performances. There was also a huge controversy involving the game. The Association for American Indian Development declared a boycott of the game, claiming it contains derogatory, harmful, and inaccurate depictions of American Indians. Featured on the association's boycott-specific website was a petition demanding that Activision clean up various aspects of the game before re-releasing it to retailers. The group called for a worldwide recall of the game if the revision was not completed. Then Activision issued this brief statement. Activision does not condone or advocate any atrocities in American West during the 1800s. The gun was designed to reflect the harshness of life on the American frontier then. It was not Activision's intention to offend any race or ethnic group with gun, and we apologize to any who might have been offended by the game's depiction of historical events, which have been conveyed not only through video games, but through films, television programming, books, and other media. The game could have been put more into effort and caring, but they didn't. The game feels rushed, a lame and boring imitation of Western films. It is sometimes distasteful, and honestly, I kind of cringed at some things too. I recommend researching on your own and forming your own opinion, though I may disagree with what they created. There have been more egregious films in video games. Also, another aspect I'm afraid I have to disagree with is the awards this game received. GameSpy gave Gun the Xbox 360 Action Game of the Year, when you had Call of Duty 2, Condemned Criminal Origins, and Peter Jackson's King Kong as much more enjoyable action launch titles. IGN stated, Neversoft has finally made a good game besides all their Tony Hawk. Well, this is correct, since they mostly made Tony Hawk skateboard games and Guitar Hero. They ran multiple series into the ground, but that is a story for another time. Either way, Gun is a complicated mess that becomes more diluted the further the rabbit hole we go. So now, to the story. The period is 1542, and we are seeing Coronado's second expedition. We see a Spanish Inquisition traveling through a desert. As a sandstorm rolls through, they are ambushed by a Native American tribe who looks furious. Then, time flies, 300 years later. The setting is now 1880 in Missouri. You play as a man named Colton White. You hunt game with your father, Ned. You soon start hunting for some deer, but surprisingly, a bear ambushes you. As you collect the meat, you head towards the steamboat to sell your goods, or take them to town. While on the steamboat, you stumble upon this weird priest, and something your father hides in a safe. Before you can ask questions, though, the steamboat gets raided by bandits, led by the psychotic priest. You defend as long as you can, but soon it becomes too much, and Ned tells you this.
I've done my best to raise you right, but all your life I've been lying to you. The boilers are gonna blow. Quick, take this. That's a token to the Alhambra, the cat house in Dodge City. Go there and ask for Jenny.
I ain't leaving you, Pa.
God damn it, that's what I'm trying to tell you. I ain't your father. Now go!
This event would have been a shocker if I had known this man for more than 10 minutes. But, what do I know? Soon, the game takes you from town to town through trials and tribulations. You try to figure out who your father was. Eventually, it just becomes a revenge mission. You'll make friends, get betrayed, and shoot everyone known to man. And well, you meet many characters. First off, your father, Ned, is played by Chris Christopherson. Last time we saw him on this channel, he was in Fallout New Vegas as Chief Hanlon.
Bite some jerky and collect your gear. Time to earn our pay. Come on.
The main protagonist, Colton White, is voiced by Thomas Jane from famous works such as 2004 Punisher film and The Mist.
If that's a man of the cloth, then I'm the king of Cyan.
Keep an eye on it. I'm gonna have a word with the pilot.
He has been in more content, but those are some of his famous works. The big baddie in the game, Major Tom Magruder, is played by Lance Henriksen, who was General Shepard in Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and freaking Bishop in the Alien series.
Well, Reverend, were my orders carried out?
With a vengeance.
And the missing item?
It couldn't be recovered, sir.
You failed me?
No, sir. The whore had it stowed inside the safe and it sank to the bottom of the river.
Failure was not an option. Price must be paid.
Brad Dourif, who voiced Chucky and was Grima Wormtongue in Lord of the Rings, plays the crazy Reverend Josiah Reed.
Glorious bounty, my son. Truly the Lord has blessed you with the talent of a marksman.
I do all right, preacher.
I'll rest easy tonight knowing one so capable as you is among us.
Ron Perlman, who was the narrator for most of the Fallout games, Hellboy, Sons of Anarchy, and just way more, played Mayor Hoodoo Brown.
Come on in, kid. We were just about to hold our usual confabulation before the night shift begins. I see Rudabaugh has already made your acquaintance. This is J.J. Webb, my other right-hand man. Now tell us about this fella you're looking for. Jenny said something about him being a jack preacher.
Reed's his name, Josiah Reed.
What do you want with him?
It's a personal matter.
I see. Tell you what, I could use a crack shot like you. You put this on, and I'll see if I can find some information on that scalawag Reed. When that skunk shows his face again, you'll have the law on your side. What do you say?
His name usually makes me think of this song from Dead Island.
And you can't harm me, yeah, hoodoo, you hoodoo, bitch!
And finally, my favorite, Tom Skerritt, from Top Gun and A River Runs Through It. He played Clay Allison, who needed way more screen time in this game.
Magruder sent a Gatling gun from Dodge in a train, where it's already out there laying the trap. You know? Come on, let's go!
Just a way too underrated actor. So, with this colossal cast of characters, You'd believe this game would have way more substance and a huge impact, but honestly, it falls flat. It throws no major story beats and feels rushed. If the game weren't solely open world and focused exclusively on crafting a fun Uncharted-esque Western Indiana Jones action thriller, then it would have been thrilling. Still, anytime you think the game will wow you with something, it only does half measures. Like seriously, the main villain, Magruder, is always shown on a train. You can't even fight on it. Like seriously, there's no mission on a train. It's a crime. A catastrophe. And I want a refund for my $8 I spent on this. It's just sad because I felt like they wanted to explore many elements like the Native Americans, the Confederacy, the mythical cross, and a family bond together. It feels like multiple people had many ideas they wanted to explore and tell, but no one could agree on what matters most, and it makes the game weak for it. Talking about some more weak elements is the gameplay. The game starts as any game usually does, with a tutorial. It teaches the central mechanics of gameplay, walking around, shooting, and how to use quick draw. Typical. Now your revolver has unlimited ammo, so if you run out of shotgun or rifle ammo, switch to your trusty side shooter and carry on. Now while shooting enemies, or wolves, you'll have a crosshair for your gun, but you can't aim down sights, which was annoying if I wanted to shoot folks from a distance. So, I usually just got all up close and personal, as I could be a badass Western cowboy that shoots from the hip and never misses. There's also a stealth mechanic, if you even want to call it that, which is weak as pond water. It is very reminiscent of Shellshock Nom 67 stealth mechanics, if you can even call it that. You just kind of sneak up behind someone and stab them. Just tiresome game design, really. Now the game helped with this fantasy to an extent. The problem is the enemies and environments. Everything feels lifeless and insignificant. While vast, the atmosphere is the epitome of dullness and tediousness. You go from monotonous forests to deserts and canyons in seconds. There's no rhyme or reason, it's just jarring. Now the foes you face are a whole other story. Enemies take several bullets to die, unless you achieve a headshot. I don't mind bullet sponges if everything else in the game can help make it believable. It's just you shoot someone and they just fight back. It could be more satisfying to fight enemies, but Neversoft under-delivered. It also doesn't help when you have mini-bosses with even more health than is feasible. If it's a giant mech or a giant serpent, then sure, I can suspend my disbelief. But a third-person shooter where your bullets are like rubber bullets does not help the illusion. Now you have an advantage the enemies do not have: refillable health. It can help when facing the wrath of unstoppable cowboys in cotton trench coats. Plus, these mini-bosses do not feel right in a western like this. How can Hoodoo Brown tank 50 bullets or Magruder survive 50 gas explosions? That would probably be steam burning your skin. But luckily, he dies by a falling rock. I'm not too fond of these game ideas because it's like hitting your head against a brick wall and expecting not to bleed. It's a dumb and unoriginal design that games can still be guilty of. Now, besides fighting immense armies known to man, you have side missions, which can be multiple scenarios like getting a bounty, horse racing, to corralling cattle into a fence. It has some nice variety, but it's unnecessary. With these missions, you can get extra cash and skill upgrades, then take those to shops to upgrade yourself or a specific weapon. But the problem is, this does not help with anything. I stopped buying items and doing side missions because it was a time waster. I beat the game with basically my average stats and had no challenge. It just became a dull experience. I generally wish Gun was a way more thrilling adventure. Honestly, I hate talking about a game in a poor light. Some folks out there probably love this game, but I can't find myself loving it. It's like being promised to be able to go to Las Vegas, but instead getting dropped off in the middle of the desert with a tumbleweed. A promise with unfulfilled dreams.